Welcome to another ADHD Expression episode with Michael and Stephanie.
He's such a goof. Sorry. He's a little too serious sometimes. Okay. So, the other day we talked about marriage. It's what brought us together, right?
Yes.
But the other thing I really would like to talk about is something that absolutely bothers me.
Oh.
The fact that people put such a negative strain on ADHD. I wanted to look up, for this episode, something to do with the positive advantages of marrying a person with ADHD, and all I found were negatives.
No.
Why do you think people are so negative?
I don't know. It's easy to be negative on something and nitpick and criticize, and definitely for growing up and stuff like that, as people see these ADHDers who just can't get their housework done, can't get their homework done, can't focus in class, all these can'ts.
Yeah, it's not very fun, is it?
No.
Oftentimes people think people with ADHD are stupid. Hate that one. You're dumb, you can't think. Why is it you can spend 5 hours writing a story but can't do 10 minutes of housework?
I'm still waiting for the answer.
Me too. So we want to talk about some of the ADHD advantages. Like, first of all, creativity. Why is creativity an advantage, honey?
Well, when they find an area to be creative in, they can have such novel solutions, such as that music video that you did with the butterfly and all the spider web of your lyrics and stuff on the wall, so that you could read it while playing your music for that contest you entered.
I lost the contest, unfortunately, but my husband laughed at me. Unfortunately, I ran out of tape, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I gotta see this. I can't have it on the floor, because I'll be looking down like this, and nobody will see me, and I can't put it on the piano because it'll slide, so I strung it up on cupboards. It was kind of weird, but it worked.
The video is still on YouTube.
You don't want to show them that, do you?
It's already been on the blog.
I guess. The next one is loyalty. It's one that works very well for a lot of people. For instance, I had a boss who was made fun of or talked about behind her back a little bit, and I told him to stop, and I said, don't you dare talk about my boss that way, because she's my boss. Just because she may not be perfect or whatever, if you have a problem with someone, you talk to them. You don't sit there and talk behind their back. Don't you agree?
Yes.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
The next one is protecting. A person with ADHD will protect you. Right?
Yeah. Definitely. When they have their focus on you and you've earned their affection and respect and stuff like that, especially for, tolerating some of their quirks and whatnot, and just allowing them to thrive, they'll be very loyal. They're great friends to have. They think the world of friends and sometimes give a bit too much. That's another podcast. But just very loyal. They're not ones to talk behind people's backs or anything. They're ones to search out the positive, just like we're doing in today's episode.
Positive's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Negativity is actually what hurts people with ADHD.
Especially the Nega Monster.
Anyway, the next one is intuition. Now this one's a pretty interesting one for me. When I don't follow my intuition, I pay for it. For instance, there was one day where, I know, boys, I'm sorry, but I had a feeling that I was going to have my period and to bring protection, and I'm like, screw it, I'm late, I need to go out the door, and sure enough, I got it, and ugh. But yes, there's other things too, where I told my husband this isn't a good day to go out, we shouldn't go out, I don't know why, but we need to stay in. He goes, psh, what do you know? And then there was a big storm the one time I warned him, and I said, I told you we shouldn't go out.
We still had fun that day.
But yeah, we slid and Yeah, special things happened. ADHD people work well in groups. Yes or no?
Depends on the group, but overall, yes.
Explain.
Well, if you still need someone to help keep the group on task, otherwise they can have a grand old time and not get anything done. You wouldn't have happened to have any school projects or something like that where that happened.
Actually, most of the time I was the motivator, which was really weird. I did have one time where I had a person in my group who had worse ADHD than me. And I kept saying, we need to get this project done, we need to get this project done. Because unlike most people with ADHD, I really thrive on deadlines. I like deadlines. I might do things at the last minute, but I still get them done. But in this case, I worked on it about a month before it was due, had my whole half all done, and she didn't do any of hers. So then I was too scared thinking, great, the other half isn't done. I might as well not hand in the assignment. I found out a year later that if I would have handed in the assignment, she would have given me a mark, and the other girl wouldn't have gotten a mark. And because of it, I failed my math class.
Not good.
Not good. No.
The other thing with groups that has been told me many times regarding ADHDers, and especially my wife, the ever-present housework. We're definitely discovering over and over again, I still can't leave her with a list of things to do. I have to be in the room, the shadow, looking
like
over
that.
her.
I had one friend, I would always depend on when my house was getting a little too messy, and she would come over. She didn't have to clean. She would sit there and read, and every time I'd go to escape out of the room to go clean something else, she would point back to the room and say, go. And that's all she had to do. And then when we were done cleaning, well, when I was done cleaning, and she was done her homework, we'd converse and have fun and do whatever. But sometimes group is the number one way to get stuff done for a person with ADHD. Sometimes you need a whole posse of people. You know what you need to do. You know what you want to accomplish. You just don't know how to take step one. So the next one. We're very good at seeing outside of the box. What do you think?
A little too good sometimes.
Explain yourself.
Well, sometimes they'll come up with these elaborate, amazing solutions to problems when probably the easiest and simplest solution was what was already in the box. But but for some problems, it is good to look outside the box. What are some examples you can think of?
I'm going to use a nursing example. Let's say Joe Blow needs to go to the bathroom 500 times. And they're getting really, really, really sick of taking her to the bathroom because she has to go every morning. I suggested a bedpan. They're like, oh my gosh, you're a genius. I'm like, no, I'm not. That was a very easy solution. Or there was a time when I needed to transport something that was too heavy for me. And I saw these kids circle, cylinder things. And I stuck them underneath, and I dragged the object with a rope, and somehow it worked. But yeah, you think about things outside the box, and sometimes they're absolutely fascinating. And people are going, I would never have thought about that in a million years, or doing that with that object, but it seems to work. The next one, hyperfocus. A person can be better at a career they love as they have big emits of energy. Yes, that too. I was going to say emissions, but, what can I say? Anyway, and they're able to focus a lot better. I mean, I've gone and painted, I don't know how many paintings. When I was on WCB, I was told by a boss that I wasn't allowed to come back, which was not good advice. She wanted me to stay away until my arm was healed. But technically, if you don't use your arm, you lose the skills with your arm. So I would paint every day to try to keep the skills in my arm. And I could paint for 6 good hours a day, hyper-focus-wise. And I got better and better and better at painting. And now they make me paint at work, which I love, but don't love at the same time. Is there any other things you can think of with hyper-focus?
Well, definitely find a job that you love that you can hyper-focus on. her career is very ADHD friendly now.
Actually, a lot of times the other two supervisors get jealous of my boss because I'm so darn good at my job she doesn't have to babysit me. Anyway, another one can be sensitive to other people's needs. Now, why is this a good advantage, honey?
It's a good advantage because definitely they do feel they have that empathy there, so they can sense when somebody needs a hug or a little extra talking to and stuff like that. Part of what made you one of the favorites in the church when we were going. Just people loved that you were so sensitive to their needs and looking after them.
It had its disadvantages.
It had its disadvantage, but we're going to lay that aside for another podcast. We're talking about advantages here and being sensitive and having that empathy, being able to feel the pain of others as well as their joy. That's part of what makes ADHDers good in groups, is they feed off that positive energy, and if the energy isn't that positive, they try and spin it so it can get back to positive.
I like that. Enthusiasm. Now, this is a part of our ADHD where impulsivity is actually a good thing. Going with the flow, able to just go with the changes at ease. Now, a lot of people got grumpy, for instance, last week when one of the staff members decided to rearrange the whole office and stick all the carts away. I thought, yes! Less places to pile things! Excellent! As long as my cart goes up front, I don't care. So I'm able to go with changes. I like changes. I like when they go, oh, this program is boring and it's not beneficial, let's change it. This isn't working, let's change it. If the house is boring and needs to be moved around, I would love it to be moved around. If they want, you want to stick dishes in a new cupboard because that cupboard's not working, go nuts. It's a good thing, isn't it?
It is a good.
You're giggling, though. What are you thinking in there? There's something in there.
Oh, just it makes it very easy for me being the man to change plans on her and drag her along.
But sometimes my advantage sometimes becomes his disadvantage, because let's say something's not working, we're not on time for something, and I go, it's okay if we change plans, look, it's a bunny store or something, and I don't care if we go to the bunny store or if we make it to a meeting or whatever we were going to do. I'm very happy to change plans, and sometimes I have to convince him, it's not that I don't want to do your plan, honey, it's just that I'm looking at all the options. So the next one, charismatic and social. Why is that a good thing?
Well, this goes back to being in groups and definitely being the entertainer and sometimes the leader in the group. Think that Toastmasters training meeting, how they divvied up people.
In the Toastmasters training meeting, which my husband's a vigilant member, I visit. But anyway, there was this one guy who had been there for about, 6 months, I think it is. And I had been there for no months. And he was really worried about evaluation. And was very scared about it. And didn't know if he was good enough to do an evaluation. Now, he's like my husband. He has to think, analyze, research everything before he thinks he's good enough to do anything. Oh, but you are good enough to do a lot of things, dear.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so this guy, I gave him a challenge. I talked to him and I said, you know what? You can do anything you put your mind to. You seem to be a very intelligent man. You're able to teach me a few things in the few moments we spent together, and I feel that the more you evaluate, the better you'll get at it. And so I got him to set a goal. To do as many evaluations, to pick one type of evaluation, work on it until he felt really comfortable, and then move on to the next evaluation. And he thought it was a great plan.
Okay. I was also talking about the gaggle group of yellows you were in.
Ultimate charismatic people. The only trouble with everybody being a charismatic person is every single person wants to entertain the group. We got a lot of work done, but then as we were getting the work done, we were laughing the whole time because we couldn't believe some of the things that were both advantages and disadvantages of being the type of person we are. Moving on to the next one. we like challenges. Challenges are good. Right?
As long as you don't get discouraged by them.
Well, the trouble with challenges is we like to go at the challenge our own pace. If a person pushes us up a hill like a shopping cart, we're not having fun. No. That was on skis, by the way. But yes, would you like to be pushed up a hill like a shopping cart? Viewers, we ask you right now. Because I don't think anybody would like to be pushed up a hill like a shopping cart. I'd feel like a child or an inanimate object. But I do like challenges. I like to try new things. The only disadvantage is, though, sometimes we get bored of the new thing or we want to do something even more interesting. Like, I want to jump out of a plane. That'd be fun. Moving on. We are motivators. Don't you think?
Yes.
Because as Michael said, we see the good in people. We want to motivate them to keep doing good things and actually to get better.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the advantages in that ADHDers definitely are externally motivated, in that they feed off other people, motivating them, and they in turn feed back to other people to help motivate them. And it's a nice big circle, and once you get all the gears working properly, amazing things can happen. Something goes out of whack. Not so amazing things, but hey, we're working at making things work.
The one thing that I didn't mention in last time that we did it on the things that make ADHD interesting is the one thing I've learned is the more you positively influence a person who has ADHD, the further they'll fly. So if you want to think of an ADHD advantage, that is definitely an ADHD advantage. Because, for instance, I'm lucky. Not everybody has this. But I have a wonderful husband who is a motivator. Who motivates me to believe I am a good person. There are advantages to my disorder, which to me isn't a disorder, really. To me, it's just a different way of thinking. I don't think like everybody else. I don't focus the same way you do. In fact, I focus on more. I can see things that other people can't see in a blink of an eye that takes them a long time to see. They can say, why is this person upset? Oh, because earlier she tripped on this and then somebody yelled at her because she made a noise. Or whatever. So, an advantage I have is a husband who's 100% understanding. Who sometimes gets annoyed at me, I will be honest, but for the most part, very, very, very good. And if you have somebody who motivates you, it doesn't have to be your husband, it could be a best friend, it could be a mother, a father, a sister, whatever. But if you have that, don't let it go.
It's part of getting that does well in working with groups. Take advantage of that skill. Don't cut yourself off. You're not naturally an introvert sometimes, so play to that extrovert advantage. Find your cheerleading squad, and of course you're a cheerleader too, so be in that squad too with pom poms a flaring and stuff like that, and just get that energy loop going between you and your friends or whatever.
And cut out the negative people, because that will keep you being a person with advantages and hope and dreams. I had this one group of friends. We called them the Doom Squad. My friend told me I was the visitor of the Doom Squad and wondered why I hung out with the Doom Squad. They called them the Doom Squad because they all seemed to cut each other down. You don't want to be a part of that group. You want to build yourself up and be around people like him, who builds me up constantly, and I try to build him up as much as I can. Well, that's all I really have to say. Do you have anything else?
Nope, so wrap it up.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. This is Michael. We're ADHD humans. Well, I'm the ADHD person. I'm a person with ADHD. This is my fabulous husband, and we're going to continue to try to talk about positive things, to try to motivate people to realize that it's not a crutch. It may have disadvantages, but it has a lot of advantages too. Well, see ya.